A blonde walks by a travel agency and notices a sign in the window, "Cruise Special $99. She goes inside, lays her money on the counter and says, "I'd like the $99 cruise special, please." So I went to a bar the other day after work and there was an Kiwi sitting there having a drink. So I started talking with him and the topic of ex-girlfriends came up. I asked him how many he had. As he started to count them out loud, he ended up falling asleep. Everyone on Earth vastly overestimates how well they do in a fight. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson, not me. I could take on at least 30 toddlers easy. I'm very pessimistic regarding my fighting skills, so maybe I'm underestimating how well I would do. I'm still a fast runner, maybe I overestimate my escaping skills. I don't, which is why I avoid them. The more training you have in combat sports, the more you realize just how bad the average person is at. If you are a tough guy who has won street fights, you have no idea what it's like to fight with someone who knows what they are doing. You will get toyed with. Is pocket sound allowed in this discussion? If so, I'll kick all you all's asses. That's really saying something considering I already expect to come away poorly. I read a lot of history. The professionals are mostly pretty good at estimating how well they'll do, and the bosses tend to vastly overestimate how well they'll do. From my 6-year-old kid today: what do you call a hippo with one leg? He will be a fine dad one day. What do you call a hippo that passes gas? A rippofartimus. What do you call a hippo with no? Doesn't matter, he's not going to come when you call him anyway. I thought it was going to be a tipo. What do you call a hippo that can rap? A hippopotamus. Just made that one up and I fear it was a failure. Maybe I'll think on a better one. What do you call a hippo that likes? So I just said this joke to my 6-year-old nephew with no background and he said hoppo immediately. I asked him how he knew and he said that on Super Mario Wonder, the new Mario game, some hippos are called hoppas. What do you call a hippo without any hips? Po. Love it. I'm seeing my niece and nephew in about 15 minutes. Thank you for sharing. Flippo. Is a hippopotamus? Or just a really cool hippopotamus? Excellent joke. Wobbly. I tried this joke on my wife and she liked it. Guys who received unsolicited female nudes. What happened? A female friend sent me nudes. My therapist is this female friend with us in this room right now. I found out they'd been sent to me in error. She said it was an accident and meant for someone else, so I said no problem, I won't look at it and I'll act like it never happened. Since it was obviously meant for someone else, it very obviously was not meant for someone else. She was just trying to act like it was an accident. Anyways, months later she admitted it was on purpose and asked if I liked her as more than a friend. Apparently a guy has been going to the club, picking up women and giving them my number instead of his. So occasionally I'll get nudes from drunk 20-somethings. This has been going on for about 7 months. And kudos to him, cause these are beautiful girls and all, but I am sick of explaining that my name is not Chris and I have never been to California. I was at the pub last night, a woman got her nipple pierced right in front of me. Love the unexpected twist, nicely pierced humor, smiley face. It's the breast nipple piercing story I've heard. Boobseye. What's the point of this story? This one is really good. Bullseye. Lol, how much did you billiard? Cool story brah. Well, she did say she was bored. Maybe you misunderstood. You're just throwing that out there like that, huh? Normally you don't suck darts but nipples. Humor in this joint seems to have gone somewhere else for the moment. Sigh. Funny. In the US, it's called an elevator. In the UK, it's a lift. That joke is funny on so many levels. That pun really uplifted my spirits. Both have their ups and downs. In a third world country, it's called the stairs. If someone rips a fart, it's a smellevator. Those who were raised differently took the escalator. Someone's up to something. This joke floored me. You're reaching new heights with this joke. The device was invented in the US. The language was invented in the UK. But it's a downer that a difference has turned up between nationalities. Lift? That's uber smart. I got a rise out of it. I can't get down with the European humor. Oh, 'tis good to see this joke here. When I'm traveling between the two countries frequently I get confused. I don't know if I should lift my hat in the elevator or elevate my hat in the lift. In Australia it's called a drop. It's entirely possible that there are people that have had sex less times than the number of children they have. Are you talking about people who have sets of multiples, like twins or triplets? So if they have 2 kids twins but only had sex once, has sex once, gets pregnant with octuplets. I'd probably be done after that, too. My school friend's mother was sadly a case of this. Had sex once when she was 14, got pregnant, gave birth to twins, committed suicide a few months later. They were raised by her parents. Was told the story one night by the sister when we were drunk on their 16th when I came across her crying outside when going for a smoke. Still to this day the deepest shit I've ever been told. My drunk teenager brain couldn't handle it. Just sat out there in silence with her for a while. On her deathbed I asked my Italian grandma for life advice. I leaned in as she whispered, always keep your pennies clean. Women respect a man who washes pennies. Nothing compares to a good woman that will help you shine your pennies. It was good that she gave you her 2 cents. Your grandma had a 6th sense. To coin a phrase, this is a sensual joke, isn't it? That took me a couple of seconds. Penny for your thoughts. Due to inflation it's now nickels. That my 2 cents makes sense. Reminds me of the secret to my brother's success in business. Maybe keep those pennies in your coin purse. Use ketchup. Pointing finger. Till after receiving 2 arrows to the face at the Battle of Neville's Cross, King David of Scotland fled and tried to hide under a bridge. When he was eventually spotted by enemies, he managed to fight back and knocked out 2 of his captors' teeth. He survived and lived for 25 more years. It is but a flesh wound. One of the arrows was too deep inside his skull to remove, so they decided to just live it. Many of those as an English prisoner. At one point, Edward III had both King of Scotland and King of France as his prisoners. He was also just 22 years old at the time of the battle. What an absolute badass. I used to be an adventurer like you. But then I took 2 arrows to the face. He also was captured and lived in captivity. Led an army against English longbowmen without scouting the land, fucking gut trounced even though he heavily outnumbered the enemy. He was a dunce. Till the US, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand all had inheritance taxes, i.e., wealth taxes. But they repealed them not so long ago. The UK is the weird exception, considering how similar and closely related those 5 countries are. You're still taxed on inheritance over X amount in US as well as some states. Some US states actually do still have an inheritance tax. Note that this is different than an estate tax. Estate tax is applied against the estate. Inheritance tax is paid by the heir on the inheritance received from the estate. Till clover used to be part of every lawn as it was cheap and easy to maintain. After World War II, pesticide companies declared it a weed, and until recently it's been removed from laws. I only learned a couple years ago that people consider clover bad. It was always everywhere when I was growing up. Looks fine to me. It also makes great honey. Clover helps prevent erosion and also makes it so you don't need to add nitrogen or aerate your lawn. And it requires little. It's bad as a full clover lawn because it can't handle foot traffic, but to just have some mixed in with the grass seems like you'll really help yourself out. I've been adding Dutch white clover to 3 lawns I've owned over the past 3 decades. Definitely makes more of a low maintenance lawn. Helps the bees too. Till of gingering, the practice of making an old horse appear young and lively by inserting a sprig of ginger into its anus. There needs to be a sub for facts I would have happily gone my whole existence not knowing. Note that many of the references in the article are from the 17 and 1800s. I own a dozen or so horses and have never heard of this. We have amphetamines now. As a ginger myself, I just call this begging. Who the hell came up with this? And everybody just went along with it. I imagine many animals become more lively when you shove something spicy up their anus. Yeah. So. In humans it's called figging. Probably went something like this, Dave. I got in wait. Hear me, I hold the horse and you stick this sprig of ginger up his ass. Till the father and stepmother of Dee Dee Blanchard, the murdered mother of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, would not pay for her funeral and flushed her ashes down the toilet. The family expressed suspicion that in 1997 she might have killed her own mother by denying her food. I just watched the documentary yesterday. The father and stepmother both said though Dee Dee got what she deserved. They interviewed either a nephew or cousin of Dee Dee's as well, and he basically called her a piece of shit. Gypsy's father and stepmother seemed relatively normal. The whole thing was such a bizarre situation. Ashes to ashes, flush to flush. What else do you do with a piece of shit? They're pretty sure she poisoned the stepmother at one point. Makes sense. When I'm dead, just throw me in the trash. Didn't sound like Dee Dee had very many likable qualities about her. This bee literally had Gypsy's teeth removed for fucking attention. She should rot in hell. Isn't Gypsy released today? The donkey. Nice. I thought the punchline was gonna be that the car was dragging him, lol. Your version is better. It's a tailgating ass, lol. I did laugh, but if the donkey can go 70, why did the guy need a ride? What an ass. The driver sat down and cried. I didn't get that joke. Today at the gym I asked a hot girl what her New Year's resolution was. 1820 by 1024, just like last year. She called you a sex machine. Actually, word she used to describe you was fucking tool. Yeah, I tried to pick up a hot girl in the gym and suggested we alternate taking turns on the lot machine. But I kept on lowering the weight levels from those she was using, and finally she told me this just isn't working out. Bet you are excited about her taking a screwdriver and hanging you up in her living room. I was at the gym, and a Chinese girl came up to me and said, "Sex, sex, sex. Free sex tonight." I was all giddy. Her friend came over and said, She means 666-3529, 666-3629. That's her phone number. Edit wrong phone number. I told my bully my New Year's resolution. It was to lose 10 pounds. True confession. It's a sin as a Catholic to have sex with girls. It is a sin to commit adultery in Judaism as well, although we don't have confession. There is a female Catholic college in South Bend, Indiana called St. Mary's, across the road from ND. The co-eds were known as Smickers. When a ND student from my old all-male Jesuit HS came back to talk about college WR theology class, he said, with the Jesuit priest's approval packed W penis, Smickers really satisfy. The priest sat down and cried. I get the joke, and found it. By the way, isn't adultery part of the 10 Commandments? So not permitted for Jews too? Oh man, I am so glad I was warned in advance that this was long. Vacations feel like they pass by quickly only because we don't realize how fast normal life is moving. You realize how fast time flies when you hit the snooze button on your phone, or add 30 minutes extra to your alarm and try to go back to sleep. 10 seconds will go by, you'll check your phone and see it's actually been 8 minutes. Grab hold of a hot pan and a second can seem like an hour. Put your hands on a hot woman and an hour can seem like a second. LL Cool J. I always felt that vacations went fast because you are busy all day and don't pay attention to its passing. Plus it's all new experiences. Wait till you realize that time is relative. Meaning, the older you get the faster it goes, as each day accounts for a shorter percentage of your overall experience. What is the most overrated travel destination? Dubai. Hollywood Boulevard. It's crowded, full of homeless people, and kind of smells like. To make it clearer which part of Los Angeles have found overrated. Dubai. It sucks so bad, there is nothing to do, and no culture. Unless you like gaudy designer bullshit or laying by the pool. I'm gonna say it, Amarillo. That damn horse museum is so darn alluring, but it isn't all it's chalked up to be. To think, I said I'd be there by morning. Plymouth is a rock. Niagara Falls, New York is not a nice place. Disney World. I had to wait in line just to type this. Jamaica. It's sketch AF. Honestly, Los Angeles. But not because it sucks. I love LA. I just think you need to live here to truly get what the city has to offer. If you come as a tourist, you squeeze in a bunch of random touristy things and don't get to really experience the city for what it is. What is the scariest story that you know of with actual photographic proof? Real lack of photos in these comments. If I remember correctly, in the late 19th and early 20th century, people turned pictures of lynchings into postcards. In 1980, 6 cars, a truck, and a Greyhound bus plummeted 150 feet 46 meters into Tampa Bay, resulting in 35 deaths when a barge hit the Skyway Bridge. I remember being home and the video coming in. Cars didn't see the road was gone and drove into the water. I was 12 then, 55 now, and I have a phobia about going over bridges with high arches where I can't see what is ahead. It's well documented online by news stations. I don't know if this counts, but the video of the woman being eaten by the escalator. The Holocaust. The rape of Nanjing. One of the most horrific things I read in my history course. Shit that happened to Sylvia Likens and Junko Furuta. What was hugely hyped up but flopped? What was that Google social media with circles? Google+. 3D televisions were presented as the next huge thing. There was a massive amount of hype being able to watch 3D movies and games from the comfort of your living room. It flopped when it launched due to the televisions being ridiculously expensive and the technology not being there during the era and being gimmicky once the appeal wore off for the people that bought them. I'm showing my age, but the Geraldo Rivera special with Al Capone's mysterious vault, which turned out to hold nothing. Fire Festival. The Segway. Zuckerberg's weird avatar world. Google Glass. Kiwi $1.75 billion blown in 6 months on a streaming service no one wanted. New Coke. NFTs. Kony 2012. Windows Millennium Edition. What's the hottest thing a partner has ever said during sex? And why? A girl that had a crush on me for a year told me she had crushed all that time right before went out a few times, dinners, hot tub, tattoos together, a fire in the living. When we got my bedroom she said, I can't believe I'm fucking you right now. Needless to say, I'm doing my best to keep this one in my life. How many times do you want me to come? This girl and I had hooked up a few times but then stopped for some time. When we hooked up again she said, my pussy's missed you, with the hottest inflection. I still think about it to this day. Lol. Not during but after. She texted me to tell me, you fucked me so good and hard that half the drive home it felt like you were still inside of me. Needless to say, that's how she got it from then on. Do whatever you want to me. Gasping, how do you know how to do that? All I can say is that kept the mood going. When eaten, the entire life of one creature is destroyed to provide a very short amount of life to another creature. No, you're just consuming the remaining life they hadn't used yet, which at the time of death was 0. What about predators in the wild? They might not eat the entire creature, but they do take lives to survive. Is that not part of the cycle of life too? It's a real pyramid scheme. This is necessary. Life feeds on life. Yes, but we usually don't consume the entire creature or thing at once. But it is a necessary sacrifice to provide for oneself and others as a part of the cycle of life. Nutrients of the soil is absorbed by the grass is consumed by the cow, we eat the cow and drink its milk. Cells consume, Morty. Life itself is wrong, and that means death is right. But you can't side with that. So you live, even when it means eating. And Fred here really did it well. You can permanently change the price of one item to $1. What is it? I had the option to do this once and I picked Arizona iced tea cans. You are welcome. $500 Visa gift cards, insulin, healthcare, medicine. All of it. Everyone should be able to afford their medicine. Insulin, painkillers, Xanax, whatever you need to live a normal life. Food. 1,000 healthy and nutritious calories. School meals. I remember school meals being like 2 pounds and now it's around 5 pounds for a stale sandwich, a small box of apple juice and a dodgy looking cake. I mean, if the food's not even enjoyable, why is it so expensive, especially for school kids who don't have a source of income apart from their parents' houses? I miss the McDouble being $1. I feel like this could be done without any serious negative consequences. McDonald's could take the profit hit. Sitcoms are mostly just people who are supposed to be friends insulting each other for half an hour. Always Sunny is actually about the worst people you could ever have the displeasure of meeting. Friends spend way more than half an hour insulting each other. I think I see the point you're trying to make. A lot of people roast their friends all the time. But so many shows have me wondering, why would you ever hang out with this person? Isn't that normal to just dunk on each other in casual conversations? I mean, shows a high degree of intimacy and trust if you're able to tease your friends without it damaging the relationship.